Today we're going to leave our usual world of heavy metal, high voltage rock and roll, and we're going to go to an absolute legend in the world of pop and prog and neo pop and whatever other subgenre they want to come up with. I'm talking about of course, the indomitable, the unforgettable, and the never will ever be another David Bowie and his song Absolute Beginners. This is the story behind the song. Having crafted his enduring legend in the 1970s, David Bowie had never been anywhere near as commercially successful as he was in the early 1980s. 1983's Let's Dance album was huge. Its accompanying 6-month Serious Moonlight tour, well, it was enormous. And in 1984, the follow-up Tonight, it did similar business, but behind the scenes, Bowie was facing something of a writer's block. See, aside from the Tonight's 2 singles, Loving the Alien and If You Were Alive Then, the next single, Blue Jean, was all over the place. He did a full film for it, and you just couldn't get away from it. Well, all of its constituent material were co-writes, largely with Iggy Pop, and some covers. Bowie needed inspiration, so in the spring of 1985, film director Julian Temple, known for the great Rock and Roll Swindle, approached him to write the theme song for his ambitious musical adaptation of Colin McKean's 1959 classic proto-mod novel, Absolute Beginners. And he actually offered Bowie to play the part of Venditti Partners, and he leapt at the chance. Meanwhile, former Thomas Dolby sideman Kevin Armstrong's career was in free fall. Quote, "In the shitta, to be honest," admits the guitarist with rather more cheeriness than one might expect. Groomed for solo stardom by EMI, Armstrong had a debut album already recorded, which he owned outright, a video made, name remixers, and band in place, but it all came crashing down. While in a state of, well, what do I do now? The phone rang. It was Hugh Stanley Clark, an A&R man at EMI, who simply stated, "Go to Abbey Road, take a guitar, you'll thank me later." We weren't told who were there, why we were there, who we were going to play for, Armstrong says. We were just a bunch of mid-level jobbing musicians who were told, "Go to Abbey Road, Mr. X will turn up. He's not supposed to be in the country for tax reasons, so we're not allowed to tell you who it is." Wild stuff. Very rock and roll. Anyway, you're probably ahead of me because Mr. X turned out to be Mr. David Bowie himself. He didn't need name players, just functional musicians to do some demos with. The first track the band worked on was That's Motivation, Bowie's other contribution to the Absolute Beginners soundtrack. It's a complex piece. Bowie taught the musicians each segment in isolation, committing it to tape before moving on to the next section. A torturous process, but it worked. With time remaining at the end of the session, Bowie said, "I've got an idea for a song. There's still some time on the clock. Let's try and work it up." So I sat down with him, remembers Armstrong, with an acoustic guitar, with him writing lyrics on a pad. He already had some lyrics in most of the song, but he didn't have the complete structure. 15 minutes later, the band were recording a demo of Absolute Beginners' ultimate arrangement. Quote, listening to the playback, all of us were going, "My God, what a tearjerker." We knew it was going to be something good. Bowie was equally impressed and invited Armstrong, bassist Matthew Siegelman, and drummer Neil Conti to appear on the actual Absolute Beginners recording session to be held the following week with co-producers Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley. Almost as an afterthought, Bowie added, quote, "I also need a girl that sounds like a shop girl to duet with me." "So me," Armstrong remembers. Being a snottily confident young person wanting to get my oar in, I said, "My sister works in Dorothy Perkins." And without hesitation, he said, "Get her in." He didn't say, "You have got a tape or a picture." He just said, "Invite her along. She's in." Janet Armstrong had sung with a few punk bands, most notably with Normal Hawaiians, and but this was off the charts. This was the stuff of fairy tales, and yes, that is her singing on the song. Much of what might appear to be additional, what we'll call ornature, added into the track's ultimate incarnation was actually there from the very beginning, not least its defining and vocal refrain. Also key to the final version's enduring appeal, Rick Wakeman, an occasional Bowie collaborator since 1969's Space Oddity, whose floored piano stylings, almost ABBA-esque in the climactic choruses, entered the fray. Quote, "It was an exciting day in the studio," Armstrong recalls, because Bowie wasn't the only artist in the building on the day recording their parts for Absolute Beginners. Jerry Dammers, Sam Gilliard, even Mick Jagger. That's Motivation, Absolute Beginners, and Dancing in the Street, the duet Jagger and Bowie recorded for transmission during Live Aid, were all done in the same session. He was there for the legendary Dancing in the Street session. Whew! Who knew what was going to happen when that video hit, huh? Then, when all the productive work had been done, we were all put on the buses with bottles of wine to Docklands to watch David and Mick pontzing about doing the Dancing in the Street video. He was there to witness it. That is hilarious. With Absolute Beginners in the can, topped off with an expressive saxophone solo from Alan Price, sideman Don Weller, Armstrong set to work on another project Bowie had casually dropped into his lap at Abbey Road to put a live band together for this charity show I've been asked to do. So yes, that would be Live Aid, then the Global Jukebox. A show watched by an estimated 1.9 billion. Quote, "This charity show I've been asked to do," unquote. A mere fortnight prior to the meeting with Bowie and Jagger to discuss their recording of Dancing in the Street, Armstrong was effectively homeless, his career in tatters. Quote, "I think I probably would have found a way forward without it, but obviously that phone call putting me in touch with Mr. X was a massive kick up the arse," unquote. Kevin Armstrong went on to work with Bowie for the next 10 years. Kevin Armstrong has an autobiography out called Absolute Beginner. It's available from Jawbone Press. So thanks for joining me for this story behind the song Absolute Beginners from the legendary, iconic, and will never be forgotten David Bowie. See you in the next one.